James for the untouchable, true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so really interesting stuff here because this is a fighter that is getting absolutely fast-tracked to a world title. 6-0, 6 knockouts. He is, in fact, your current #1 WBA middleweight contender, and he's Cuban. And, these Cubans, they always get a lot of hype because of their amateur background and the know-how that they acquire from the amateurs. But this guy seems to have a little bit more hype than most Cubans because this is a fighter he's been in camp with sparring Canelo Alvarez. He sparred Yoel Hernandez. He's, lots been made out of him, So the fighter we're talking about in this video is Yoenlis Hernandez. Damn near might be the mandatory challenger, right? So let's talk about him because I mentioned it earlier. He sparred Yoel Hernandez. He sparred Canelo Alvarez. For those that don't know, this was David Morrell's main spar partner in camp for the Dave Benavidez fight. So if you want to know what type of sparring Morrell had for the Benavidez fight, this is a guy that he sparred with. He had a very, very successful 2024. He was, in fact, nominated for the Ring Magazine Prospect of the Year. So he was in the mix with some of the best prospects in boxing with that award. He has a very good amateur background. He was a 2021 AIBA gold medalist, and anytime you start winning one of those, if you win an AIBA gold, bronze, or silver, it means you have a certain level of skill and competence as an amateur that most people don't have. So he's got that going for him. As far as his actual style, let's break it down because I think there's some layers to unpack and some things to understand about Yoenlis Hernandez. In the fights I've seen of his, because the most notable fight on his resume, for me at least, was his last fight against Bryce Henry, because Bryce Henry's from South Florida. I saw Bryce fight in the amateurs. I've seen Bryce fight in the pros before. And Yoenlis Hernandez knocked him out. Bryce Henry was a 7-0 undefeated prospect. Yoenlis is not the fastest Cuban I've ever seen. I feel like probably one of the slower Cuban fighters I've seen in terms of his feet. So not the fastest feet I've ever seen from a Cuban, but he has a very good sense of positioning, which is fine because if you have a good sense of positioning, you can counterpunch and you can make opponents pay for their mistakes. So he has that going for him. And the fact, too, is that he understands how to, he has good upper body movement. He's loose, so he can be slick in the pocket. And if you can be slick in the pocket, you can use that to counter over the top. So he has those things going for him. I think he's also a very good body puncher. Like, you look at a lot of these Cubans now, like Morrell, look at like Morrell and some of those Cubans in Dubai. And this guy, Cuban boxing is not the Cuban boxing that, it's not your grandfather's Cuban boxing. These Cuban fighters now are coming to punch through the target and knock you the fuck out. And he is definitely one of those guys. He places his body shots very, very well. And I just think Yoenlis Hernandez, I'm not gonna sit here and go crazy over him. I'm not like as high on him as other guys I've talked about recently, but he's a good fighter. He punches very, very hard, and he seems to have, like, one thing about him is I don't think Yoenlis Hernandez, I don't think he's a 10 in any category, but I think he's an 8 or a higher in every category, if that makes sense. Like, he's not a 10 in punching power. He's not a 10 in foot speed. I don't think he's a 10 in counter punching, but he's like an 8 everywhere. He's very, very, very well-rounded, and that makes for a very dangerous fighter. And who knows, he could develop into maybe becoming a 10 in a category at some point. So that's what it is. And this could be a fighter that maybe PBC tries to cash Lara out with, because Lara is currently holding the WBA title. He's Cuban, so maybe they replace one Cuban with another Cuban, and you know this guy will have more boxing in front of him than a guy like Lara if he can go ahead and beat him. So this could be a Lara opponent in 2025. His next up. His next fight is going to be on the Benavidez Morel undercard. He'll be taking on Angel Ruiz, who's 18-3-1. So you guys will get a chance to watch Yoenlis Hernandez fight if you tune in to the prelims, because I believe he's in the prelims. So yeah, good fighter. I know last thing about him, I do know that Yoenlis Hernandez is promoted by Chris Lawrence in the Heavyweight Factory. They have a piece of him as a fighter. So good for them. You know, Chris Lawrence and the Heavyweight Factory, they've been involved in boxing for a lot of years, and I got my start covering boxing with a lot of their shows. So it's good to see that they have somebody who's going to be a factor in the sport. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this guy going to be the next middleweight champion of the world? It's very, very possible. I think he could beat Lara. I would pick him to beat Lara right now if they fought, honestly. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you click right over here.